If somebody's gonna try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f yourself. Go yourself.
When Elon Musk tells you to go screw yourself, you know things are about to get wild. But this wasn't just another Twitter meltdown. This was the beginning of the biggest tech war we've ever seen. Apple just dropped their iPhone 17, thinking they owned the AI game. But Musk had other plans, and what happened next will blow your mind. The feud explodes. Musk's AI war declaration. The tech world has erupted into chaos, and at the center of it all stands Elon Musk, throwing down the gauntlet against one of the most powerful companies on Earth. What started as subtle criticisms has now exploded into a full-scale legal war that could reshape the future of artificial intelligence, smartphones, and the very way we interact with technology. The battlefield? Apple's brand new iPhone 17 lineup and its controversial AI integration that has Musk seeing red. On August 12, 2025, Musk fired what can only be described as a digital missile across Apple's bow, making explosive accusations about anti-competitive behavior that would trigger the most significant tech lawsuit of the decade.
Apple is behaving in a manner that makes it impossible for any AI company besides OpenAI to reach #1 in the App Store, which is an unequivocal antitrust violation. XAI will take immediate legal action.
But this wasn't just another Musk tweet storm. This was a declaration of war, complete with a promise that would send shockwaves through Silicon Valley. The response from OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman was swift and brutal, turning what was already a heated rivalry into an all-out public spectacle that would captivate the entire tech industry.
This is a remarkable claim, given that what I heard alleged that Elon does to manipulate X to benefit himself and his own companies and harm his competitors and people he doesn't like.
The timing couldn't be more explosive. Just weeks before Apple's iPhone 17 launch on September 9, 2025, Musk was positioning himself as the David, taking on not one, but two Goliaths. Apple, with its iron grip on 65% of the US smartphone market, and OpenAI, commanding a staggering 80–85% dominance in mobile AI chatbots. The stakes? Nothing less than control over the future of artificial intelligence on mobile devices. But to truly understand the magnitude of this tech earthquake, we need to rewind and examine the fault lines that have been building for over a decade. Musk's relationship with Apple isn't just about business competition. It's deeply personal, rooted in philosophical differences that go to the very core of how technology should serve humanity. The seeds of this conflict were planted back in the 2010s when Musk, an early Apple investor via his role at PayPal, reportedly soured on Apple's direction under Tim Cook after Steve Jobs' death in 2011. Even then, Musk was calling iPhones overpriced glass rectangles, criticizing their lack of modularity compared to Android devices, and pushing Tesla's infotainment team to develop custom Android builds. The first major public eruption came in 2022, when Musk faced immediate pressure to monetize Twitter after his $44 billion acquisition, clashing with Apple's 30% App Store commission on Twitter Blue subscriptions. This escalated into a very public feud, with Musk accusing Apple of censorship and threatening to build an alternative phone. When tensions reached their peak in late 2022, Musk's frustration with what he saw as Apple's monopolistic control over the digital ecosystem boiled over into an unforgettable moment.
If somebody's gonna try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself. Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
But it was in 2024 that the real powder keg was lit. When Apple announced at WWDC its integration of ChatGPT into iOS 18, allowing Siri to offload complex queries to OpenAI without requiring a separate app download, Musk labeled this a security violation and spyware. The billionaire entrepreneur threatened to ban Apple devices at Tesla, SpaceX, and X offices, proposing Faraday cages for visitors' iPhones to block potential data leaks. The intensity of this rivalry becomes even more apparent when you look at how these tech titans have been trading barbs publicly, with each exchange escalating the tension to new heights. Industry observers were quick to recognize that this wasn't just a business dispute, it was a battle for the future of technology itself, with implications that would stretch far beyond the immediate players involved.
Brace for impact. This is going to be the tech overlords who are going to be running our lives for the next, not 4, not 10, not 20, 40 years. Remember the tweet?
What makes this feud particularly fascinating is how it represents a fundamental clash of visions for the future of technology. On one side, you have Apple's closed ecosystem approach, the walled garden that has made them one of the most valuable companies in history. On the other side, you have Musk's vision of open, interconnected systems where AI serves as the ultimate edge node for human capability enhancement. The legal experts weighing in on this battle weren't holding back their analysis of what they saw as legitimate concerns beneath the surface of this tech war. The implications extend far beyond just two billionaires fighting over market share.
There are definitely some really valid issues that Musk raises here. What he's basically saying is that Apple is giving OpenAI preferential treatment in its App Store rankings, and like you said, threatening to take legal action. As we all know.
But perhaps the most telling moment in this entire saga came when Apple CEO Tim Cook was riding high on the success of the iPhone 17 launch, completely confident in his company's position in the market. His enthusiasm was infectious, and he genuinely believed Apple had delivered something revolutionary that would justify their premium positioning.
Oh, it feels so exciting. It's our Super Bowl. It's the most important day of the year for us. Everybody comes out from the Apple community, and there's no place I'd rather be than Fifth Avenue on this day.
This confidence from Cook would prove to be perfectly timed, as just weeks later, Musk would file his explosive lawsuit on August 25, 2025, in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas, accusing Apple and OpenAI of colluding to monopolize smartphones and generative AI chatbots. The 50-page complaint doesn't pull any punches, detailing how Apple's exclusive ChatGPT integration gives OpenAI approximately 85% market share in mobile AI, starving rivals of scale. According to the lawsuit, this creates what Musk calls a feedback loop, where more users beget more prompts, creating an insurmountable barrier for competitors like his own XAI platform, Grok. What's particularly damning in Musk's eyes is the evidence he's compiled about App Store bias. Despite Grok's impressive 4.95 rating from over 1 million reviews, compared to ChatGPT's 4.7 to 5, Apple consistently places ChatGPT in must-have and top AI lists, while demoting Grok to number 5 or lower. This is what Musk calls algorithmic censorship, designed to protect OpenAI's dominance and undermine X's everything app ambitions. The lawsuit seeks nothing less than a complete restructuring of how AI operates on mobile devices, demanding billions in damages and an injunction to open Apple's AI APIs. If successful, this could force Apple to fundamentally change how it integrates AI services, potentially opening the floodgates for competitors like Grok, Anthropic's Claude, and others to have equal access to iOS users. The ramifications extend far beyond just the legal system. The lawsuit has already chilled XAI Apple talks. Though Grok downloads surged 15% post-filing, they still lag ChatGPT's 500M+ users. For iPhone 17 users, this legal battle casts a shadow over the device's AI features, potentially forcing API openings if courts side with Musk, which could benefit rivals but risk delays in innovation. The cultural impact has been immediate and intense. Musk's posts have polarized X, with Darang boycott Apple trending with 1M+ mentions alongside defenses of Apple's privacy under Jam Privacy Matters. This highlights the fundamental tension at the heart of this dispute, the battle between closed, secure ecosystems and open, competitive platforms. But this explosive legal declaration is just the opening salvo in what promises to be a war that will reshape the entire tech landscape, and the device at the center of it all has problems that go far deeper than just software integration. iPhone 17, under fire, the device that started a war. The iPhone 17 lineup launched on September 9, 2025, with all the fanfare Apple could muster, but it quickly became the center of a perfect storm of criticism that would validate many of Musk's accusations about Apple's stagnation and overpricing. What was supposed to be Apple's triumphant entry into the AI era instead became a lightning rod for complaints about design failures, performance compromises, and a user interface so problematic that even Apple's most loyal customers were jumping ship. Tim Cook's enthusiasm during the launch was palpable, as he proudly showcased what he believed would be Apple's next revolutionary leap forward. His confidence in the Pro models was particularly striking, as he emphasized their advanced capabilities and premium positioning in the market.
The Pro is the most pro phone we've ever shipped. It's a totally new design, incredible performance, camera next level. I mean, if you think you've gotten good photos and videos off your iPhone before, this takes it to a new level.
but the reality on the ground told a very different story. The iPhone 17 lineup includes 4 models: iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Air, iPhone 17 Pro, and iPhone 17 Pro Max, with prices starting at $799 for the base model, a significant $100 increase from the iPhone 16's $699 starting price. This price hike alone would become a major source of consumer frustration, especially when coupled with the compromises Apple made in pursuit of design aesthetics. The most controversial addition to the lineup was the iPhone 17 Air, priced at a staggering $899, despite featuring significant downgrades from the base model. Cook's marketing pitch for the Air focused heavily on its ultra-thin design and premium feel, painting a picture of revolutionary engineering that prioritized form over function.
The Air, thin, light, feels like it's going to fly away in your hand. It's so wonderful. The design is unbelievable. You literally cannot feel it. It's so light. But it's a pro phone. This is what's so spectacular about it. It's pro performance in a thin package.
But what Cook didn't mention in his glowing presentation was the devastating reality behind that thinness. The Air's 5.1mm thickness came at a catastrophic cost to functionality. A single 48MP camera instead of the base model's dual array, a 3500 mAh battery that provides 20% less runtime than the base model, and a single speaker that produces tinny sound with 25% lower volume. The problems with the iPhone 17 lineup became apparent almost immediately after launch, and they weren't just minor quibbles, they were fundamental design failures that suggested Apple had lost its way. The most damaging issue was what became known as NUS Scratchgate, where the supposedly premium coating and materials showed serious quality control problems.
Apple seems to be having a serious problem on their hands with the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, and also the Air. When it comes to the paint, it seems to be scratching off, and that's not a good thing. And particularly, it seems to be the worst with the cosmic orange color.
The paint and durability issues were so widespread that Apple was forced to acknowledge the problem, though they tried to downplay its significance. Apple attributed the bending and paint issues to isolated supplier errors in India plants, offering free replacements for affected units, which were estimated at 1% of early shipments. However, the damage to Apple's reputation was already done, with early reports from India-made units showing the rear glass scratching within days despite Apple's claims about Ceramic Shield 2.0's 3x scratch resistance. The criticism wasn't limited to hardware failures. The iPhone 17's new iOS 19 featured what Apple called liquid glass UI, a translucent, skeuomorphic design that was supposed to represent the future of mobile interfaces. Instead, it became one of the most criticized user interface changes in iPhone history. Users on X and Reddit reported text blending into backgrounds in bright light, with 15% of MacRumor's poll respondents calling it unreadable. The color choices Apple made for the iPhone 17 lineup also became a source of mockery, particularly the cosmic orange option that was available across all models. X users, including influencer XQC, dubbed it a poor people spotter, with posts like, "Who asked for a neon carrot iPhone?" garnering 50k+ likes and memes flooding social media comparing the phone to a construction cone. One tech reviewer captured the magnitude of these issues particularly well, highlighting how Apple's pursuit of thinness had compromised core functionality and offering practical advice for consumers trying to protect their expensive devices from the company's own design failures.
So here's some words of wisdom, a cautionary tale or note. If you're going to get a case, make sure that the inside of the case has like this microfiber lining, because what that does is just kind of cushions and protects the finish and the phone itself from getting scratches and things like that. If it's just...
The performance issues extended beyond just cosmetic problems. The iPhone 17 Air's thermal management was so poor that it overheated after just 20 minutes of 4K video recording or intensive gaming, throttling performance by 20%. This was particularly embarrassing for Apple, given that the Air was positioned as a premium device commanding an $899 price point. Even Apple's attempt to address these issues through software updates backfired. iOS 19.0.1, released on September 20th, improved contrast by 10% to address the liquid glass UI legibility issues, but complaints persisted, with users demanding a classic mode toggle. The frustration with these fundamental design failures was palpable among consumers who had expected Apple to deliver its usual premium quality, especially at the increased price points. The sense of betrayal was particularly acute among long-time Apple customers who had come to expect excellence and were instead receiving devices that felt like expensive compromises.
My iPhone 17 Pro Max, I have the 512 model. This is a $1,399 phone. You better believe if I bought this sucker and then a day later I've got paint coming off on my phone, like, I would be pissed.
What made these problems particularly damaging for Apple was how they played directly into Musk's broader narrative about the company's decline. Here was a company that had just raised prices across the board, with the base model jumping from $699 to $799, the Air priced at $899 despite significant compromises, and the Pro models reaching $1,099 and $1,199 respectively, yet they couldn't deliver basic quality control. The criticism wasn't limited to individual consumers. Competitors seized on Apple's missteps with brutal efficiency. Samsung's official X account mocked the iPhone 17 Air's bending issues with a viral post that received 100K likes. Foldables bend on purpose, not by accident. Google joined the attack with its Pixel 10 marketing campaign emphasizing AI should be open, not walled, directly targeting Apple's closed ecosystem approach. But perhaps the most damaging criticism came from the lack of innovation. Analysts like Tom's Guide's Philip Michaels called the iPhone 17 incremental, noting that its A19 chip, 20% faster than A18, and 48MP ultra-wide camera were evolutionary, not revolutionary. This was particularly stinging for a company that had built its reputation on revolutionary product launches. The market responded accordingly. Analysts predicted iPhone 17 sales would reach 210 million units, down 10% from the iPhone 16's 230 million, due to Huawei's Mate 70 strength in China and soft demand for the Air's compromises. In China, Apple's troubles were even more pronounced, with a 15% drop in pre-orders compared to the iPhone 16, as Huawei captured 40% of the local market with its Mate 70, starting at $700. The most telling aspect of the iPhone 17's problems was how they validated Musk's long-standing criticisms of Apple. For years, he had been calling iPhones overpriced glass rectangles and arguing that Apple prioritized aesthetics over functionality. The iPhone 17 Air, with its $899 price tag, single camera, reduced battery life, and structural integrity issues, seemed to prove his point perfectly. What's more, the iPhone 17's heavy reliance on ChatGPT integration for its AI features played directly into Musk's lawsuit arguments. The device's Apple Intelligence features, powered by the A19 chip and deeply integrated with OpenAI's ChatGPT for complex queries, became the centerpiece of Musk's monopoly allegations. Every time an iPhone 17 user asked Siri a complex question and was seamlessly handed off to ChatGPT, they were participating in what Musk claimed was an illegal monopoly. The iPhone 17 wasn't just a product launch gone wrong, it was a symbol of everything Musk believed was broken about Apple's approach to innovation and competition. And as the problems mounted, his legal case began to look less like the rantings of a disgruntled competitor and more like a prescient warning about the dangers of unchecked corporate power in the AI age. But beyond the hardware failures and design missteps lies a much deeper legal and philosophical battle that could determine the future of how we interact with artificial intelligence on our most personal devices. The legal battlefield, what this means for the future. As the dust settles from the iPhone 17's troubled launch and the paint literally peels off Apple's latest devices, the real battle is just beginning in courtrooms across America. Musk's legal assault on Apple and OpenAI represents far more than a business dispute. It's a fundamental challenge to how AI will be controlled, distributed, and monetized in the coming decades. The outcome of this case could determine whether the future of artificial intelligence belongs to open ecosystems or remains locked behind corporate walls. The legal community's initial reaction to Musk's lawsuit was mixed, with many experts expressing skepticism about his chances while acknowledging the broader issues at stake. Some antitrust lawyers were particularly dismissive of Musk's legal strategy, arguing that Apple's business practices fall within acceptable bounds.
Well, I'm afraid this is a case that's not really going to launch. The Apple has a broad range of power to select who it's going to partner with, and I don't think there's a really really compelling story here that competition is harmed through the arrangement that Apple has made.
But other legal observers saw more merit in Musk's arguments, particularly regarding the App Store bias allegations that form a crucial part of his case. The complexity of the situation wasn't lost on industry analysts who recognized legitimate concerns beneath the surface of what appeared to be a personal vendetta.
If indeed Apple is giving preferential ranking to ChatGPT, to OpenAI's product, Musk could have a case.
The lawsuit, formerly titled XAI and X Corp v. Apple Inc. and OpenAI, centers on 3 interlocking claims that could reshape the entire mobile AI landscape. The 50-page complaint accuses Apple and OpenAI of colluding to monopolize smartphones and generative AI chatbots, seeking billions in damages and an injunction to open Apple's AI APIs. The first and most explosive allegation is that Apple's deal to embed ChatGPT natively into iOS 19 gives OpenAI an unfair advantage, effectively locking out competitors like xAI's Grok through what the lawsuit calls a feedback loop, where OpenAI's 80–85% share of mobile AI chatbots grows via access to billions of iPhone queries. News coverage of the lawsuit has highlighted just how unprecedented this legal challenge really is, given the players involved and the stakes at hand. The scope of what Musk is alleging goes to the very heart of how modern technology ecosystems operate and who controls the flow of information in the digital age.
I don't see so. I mean, if they consider this an antitrust violation, that being the courts or the government or what have you.
The second major pillar of Musk's case focuses on App Store algorithmic bias. Despite Grok's 4.95 rating from over 1 million reviews compared to ChatGPT's 4.75, Apple consistently places ChatGPT in must-have and top AI lists, while demoting Grok to No. 5 or lower. Musk argues this constitutes algorithmic censorship designed to protect OpenAI's dominance. Legal experts have noted that this isn't happening in a vacuum. Apple has faced similar challenges before, which could work either for or against Musk's case, depending on how the courts interpret precedent and the evolving landscape of digital platform regulation. The third component of the lawsuit addresses consumer harm through ecosystem lock-in. The complaint argues that the Apple-OpenAI partnership creates a walled garden where iPhone users, 1.2 billion globally, are funneled to ChatGPT, reducing choice and entrenching Apple's smartphone monopoly. What makes this case particularly complex is the personal history between the key players. The feud between Musk and Sam Altman goes back years, to their time as co-founders of OpenAI before their very public split. This personal animosity adds another layer of complexity to what is already a highly technical legal dispute with massive implications for the future of technology. The legal precedents Musk is drawing on are significant. The lawsuit leverages precedents from the DOJ's 2024 case against Apple and Epic Games' 2020 suit, arguing that ChatGPT integration extends Apple's unfair gatekeeping to AI. The complaint also cites Europe's Digital Markets Act, DMA, which forced Apple to allow third-party app stores and payment systems as evidence of global scrutiny of Apple's practices. But Apple and OpenAI aren't taking these allegations lying down. Apple insists its App Store operates fairly, with rankings driven by user engagement, not bias, emphasizing privacy protections in iOS 19, where ChatGPT queries use obscured IPs, require opt-ins, and aren't stored by OpenAI. OpenAI has been even more aggressive in its response, with CEO Sam Altman labeling the suit harassment and tying it to Musk's separate OpenAI lawsuit and a rejected $97.4 billion acquisition bid in 2024. The market implications of this lawsuit extend far beyond the immediate parties involved. Industry observers recognize that this case could fundamentally alter how AI services are integrated into mobile devices, with potentially massive implications for consumer choice and market competition. The broader implications of this case extend into territory that tech observers have been watching carefully for years. This isn't just about app rankings or integration deals. It's about the fundamental structure of how information flows in the digital age and who controls that flow. The integration gives OpenAI access to data and user interactions that could be invaluable for training future AI systems. But there's another fascinating angle to this story that's been bubbling up in tech circles: the idea that maybe this entire conflict could be resolved not through litigation, but through a much more dramatic business maneuver. Some industry observers have begun floating the radical notion that Elon Musk should simply buy Apple outright, a proposal that sounds insane until you start looking at the numbers and the strategic logic. The argument goes like this: Apple's innovation has stagnated since Steve Jobs, with the company becoming fat, comfortable, lazy, and rich, with $400 billion in annual revenue, but little breakthrough innovation. Meanwhile, Apple's heavy dependence on China for 80–90% of manufacturing creates strategic vulnerabilities. What Apple really possesses of value isn't its hardware manufacturing or even its software. It's the private data of users sitting in Apple's servers.
The magic of Apple is that there are 1 billion people with their private data in private data stores sitting on Apple's server.
Okay.
And that enables Elon to provide in the iPhone or in the new device, call it Optimus, a digital twin of 500 million people.
This data treasure trove could enable revolutionary AI applications that go far beyond anything currently possible, potentially powering digital twins of users that could interface with everything from robots to cars to augmented reality systems. Under Musk's leadership, the argument goes, Apple could become the foundation for the next generation of AI-powered devices and services, while generating the massive cash flows needed to fund ambitious projects like Mars colonization. Whether this radical business combination ever comes to pass or not, the current legal battle represents a watershed moment for the tech industry. The lawsuit has already chilled XAI Apple talks. Though Grok downloads surged 15% post-filing, they still lag ChatGPT's 500M+ users. For iPhone 17 users, this legal battle casts a shadow over the device's AI features, potentially forcing API openings if courts side with Musk, which could benefit rivals but risk delays in innovation. The cultural impact has been immediate and intense. Musk's posts have polarized X, with Nostr boycott Apple trending with 1M+ mentions alongside defenses of Apple's privacy under Sykes' Privacy Matters. This highlights the fundamental tension at the heart of this dispute, the battle between closed, secure ecosystems and open, competitive platforms. As this legal drama unfolds, it's becoming clear that we're witnessing more than just a business dispute. We're seeing the opening moves in a war that will determine who controls the future of artificial intelligence, how it's distributed to consumers, and whether that future will be open or closed. The iPhone 17 may have launched with significant problems, but the real test of Apple's future lies not in its hardware quality control, but in whether its walled garden approach to AI can survive the legal and competitive challenges that Elon Musk has unleashed. The outcome of this case will reverberate through the tech industry for years to come, potentially reshaping everything from App Store policies to AI integration standards to the fundamental question of how much control any single company should have over the digital tools that increasingly define our daily lives. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.